Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 988. 988, December 16th, 2019, Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well we got quite a few things to cover here today, and then we're going to get to the winner of the dumbass of the week. Sorry, I forgot to mention yesterday on the video to remind you all to get your votes in, but fortunately most of you know that we do that voting on Saturday night, and I announced the winner, so you get to get the winner on Monday. Yeah, as long as I can keep that in line, we'll be fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what transpired on Sunday. So, of course, Sunday mornings when you have all the talk shows, and that's when all the people go out on the talk shows and lie. So we're going to cover all the liars and the games that they play on Sunday morning here in just a moment. But first, just wanted to mention, for those of you who didn't notice, Peter Swales actually put a comment in the comment section about this in the last video. Pathological is, as you know, who is now running for Congress. He's running for the seat vacated by Katie Hill, and of course there's several other people running for that seat as well, but he's running for Congress. But also he's started I guess you call it a podcast, and sort of what I do, and his first episode, I guess we would say, went up yesterday, or day before yesterday I should say, and so you might want to check that out. It's pretty good. I didn't catch whether or not it's going to be a daily thing or a weekly thing or whatever, but anyway, Pathological, his first episode of his podcast is up, and he's actually going to go through the Horowitz report and point out things in there which are accurate and things are not accurate. And he did a little bit of that on his first podcast, and he did point out and make reference to, in the IG report, they refer to source number 2, and of course, Pathological says that source number 2 that Horowitz is referring to is Stefan Halper, the fat man. And I think most people knew that, but in case you didn't know that, source number 2 is Stefan Halper, the fat man. We also, Giuliani has been doing this. I don't know how many of you watch One American News, but One American News has been doing this expose on, Giuliani's investigation into Ukraine. And they've had some really good episodes. I think I've seen 3 or 4 of them now. I don't know how many episodes there are, but we have Giuliani was on Steve Bannon's program, the War Room program, and was dropping some bombshells and talking about what's going on. So anyway, it looks like Giuliani says that he has the major bombshells, which will be coming out on Ukraine, Burisma, and more. He said he's going to be giving that information to Attorney General Barr very soon. He says he has the documents and the testimony from Sorkin and Lysenko, the 2 prosecutors, which shows the money laundering. They have the documents, they have the evidence, witness testimony, they got it all. This is the investigation that was shut down by Burisma Joe, Quid Pro Quo Joe, on behalf of Obama. And of course Giuliani explains it's much, much larger than just Quid Pro Quo Joe and his son and just that one thing, that there's many other things going on as well, which is also covered up, which Giuliani is now preparing to expose, which of course he's talking about the money laundering and things and such. He says it involves the Bidens, of course, the Kerrys and others. He also says that they didn't just try to have this prosecutor Shokin fired, they actually tried to kill him 2 times by poisoning him. In fact, Giuliani says he actually was pronounced dead twice and was brought back to life. And they have the toxicology reports to show that he was poisoned. So they didn't just want to fire him, they wanted to kill him. And also he points out that this one prosecutor is saying that he's got evidentiary proof, hard evidentiary proof, that Yanukovych was lying. 2 times she lied in her testimony to Congress, and he said that he has the evidence to prove that. And of course Giuliani wants to present his evidence to Attorney General Barr, hoping for a DOJ investigation, but he also wants to find, some congressional committee. I assume it would have to be in the Senate, obviously, to hold hearings, and he will make arrangements to get both those prosecutors, Sorkin and Lusenko, both to appear at the hearings with him, and they'll bring all their evidence and get this thing aired out in open committee hearings. And it sounds like at this point, Lindsey Graham has stated that as soon as the impeachment hearings are over, he's welcoming Giuliani and Sorkin and Lusenko and any of the other people that want to come and get a public airing of what Giuliani has discovered in Ukraine. So we'll have to wait and see. If I were Giuliani, I would get that in writing. And of course, already before the Senate has even taken up the issue of impeachment, we already have Chuck the Cuck Schumer making demands for witnesses. Yes, oh, you want demands for witnesses, do you, Chuck? Well, let's see. How did your buddy over there in the House handle that? How did the Penguin and the Bug-Eyed Fool, how did they handle the requests from Republicans for witnesses? How did that go, Chuck? Now, if McConnell is smart, he will tell Chuck the Cuck, maybe. We'll give it some thought. We'll get back to you on that. Don't hold your breath. I wouldn't play ball with that dude at all, or any of the Democrats. I would do exactly in the Senate what they did in the House. But we did have the Bug-Eyed Fool go on to This Week with George Stephanopoulos. And, of course, it was exactly what you would expect from the Bug-Eyed Fool. This guy is a pathological liar. He's a sociopath. And it's clear, even though you can literally see the word liar written on his face, he just cannot bring himself to tell the truth. Not only that, after all the lies that he has told, and the Horowitz report debunks about 90% of his lies, and Durham will unpack the rest. Never once have you heard the Bug-Eyed Fool apologize to Devin Nunes, to the Freedom Caucus, to the president, to any of us, all of us, who were telling the truth over 2 years ago. We've been telling the truth for over 2 years. Everything that we said happened and much more was proven in the IG report. Schiff got it all wrong. We all got it all right. But he never admits his failures. He just makes excuses and lies some more. So Stephanopoulos pushed back on him a little bit, but not nearly as hard as he would have if it would have been a Republican and Stephanopoulos would have had the evidence in front of him that he has. With the evidence that Stephanopoulos has from the IG report, he could have filleted the Bug-Eyed Fool, but he didn't. He actually did not. He let him off the hook. And the Bug-Eyed Fool's excuse is that the reason that he got some things wrong was because he didn't have the information. The information, he says, in fact, he says that we didn't have that evidence 2 years ago. And what a bunch of BS. We didn't have the evidence. Well, if we didn't have the evidence 2 years ago, then how is it that Nunes, the Freedom Caucus, the president, many YouTubers, many followers or subscribers to these YouTube channels, that would be us, as well as many other YouTubers, how is it that we got it all wrong, even though we didn't have, according to the Bug-Eyed Fool, we didn't have the evidence 2 years ago, but somehow, despite the fact that we didn't have the evidence 2 years ago, we knew exactly what happened. And in fact, we're way ahead of Huckleberry Horowitz. We know even, Huckleberry Horowitz told us some things, violations of policy, procedure, and things and such in his investigation. But we'll have to wait for Durham to come out and start indicting people for those crimes before they actually catch up to us. And a lot of other YouTubers and Nunes and the Freedom Caucus, we know all of it. And we know that the Horowitz is not correct when he says that it was properly predicated. It was not properly predicated. Not only that, Horowitz never looked into anything that occurred before July 31st, 2016, Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Everything that happened before that, he didn't even look at, nor could he. So the Bug-Eyed Fool is lying, and he also, believe it or not, actually looked into the face of George Stephanopoulos and told him that the Horowitz report debunks the claim that the Trump campaign was spied on. Here is the entire Horowitz report laying out how the FBI, DOJ, God knows who else, spied on the Trump campaign. Yet here's Schiff, along with Comey, and saying, "Oh well, we didn't spy on the Trump campaign," and Horowitz proved it. I don't know what IG report they read, but obviously wasn't the same one that the rest of us read or have read excerpts from, or what we saw Horowitz testify on in front of Congress. Now, not to be outdone, the dishonorable former director of the Federal Bureau of I'm With Her, the dishonorable James Comey, went on, of course, Fox News with Chris Wallace, and of course we knew what that was. I mean, there was no surprise there. What's going on here, and you could actually watch this and see that Chris Ratboy Wallace is essentially working with the deep staters to help them craft their defensive strategy. That's what you saw on This Week with Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace could have nailed Comey's ass to the wall. Could have nailed his ass to the wall, but he didn't. He asked him a few questions that he knew that Comey could waffle on, and he let the ones that he knew Comey could not waffle on, he let him off the hook. He never asked Comey the two key things that would have nailed his ass to the wall and left him with no real response. Number one, Horowitz looked into Crossfire Hurricane, July 31st, 2016, and everything moving forward, including the FISA and the dossier. But he never got into anything that occurred before that. And we know that there were informants making contact with people in the Trump campaign back as early as March of 2016. And we know that there were private contractors accessing the NSA database in 2015. So Chris Ratboy Wallace never asked Comey about all the things that were going on before the official investigation began and how he could explain that. And he also never pressed Comey on why they continued the investigation long after they knew that the entire dossier was completely debunked, total bullshit. He never asked him those two questions. He only asked him questions he knew that Comey could waffle on and lie about, which is exactly what he did. So we had the dishonorable James Comey telling Chris Ratboy Wallace that, well, he was wrong about the FISA powers being, the FISA process being followed. But he says that the FBI did nothing wrong in targeting Carter Page. Yeah, we kind of botched up the FISA warrant to spy on Carter Page, but we didn't do anything wrong with Carter Page. Well, Carter Page and his attorneys are going to have a lot to say about that, and I expect that when that day comes in that civil court hearing, and it will probably take some time, but when that day finally comes, you can bet that the dishonorable James Comey will be sitting in a civil court hearing having to answer real questions. Comey admits that mistakes were made, human error, sloppy FBI work. The procedures were not robust enough. Oh, yeah. See, we talked about this again, well over a year ago. We were talking about how they were going to explain now that they've been caught. And, of course, many of you in the comment section, my personal commentary was that they'll use the only thing that they have available to them. They'll pretend that they're stupid. They'll pretend that they're mistakes, errors, their incompetence. I mean, when you're caught red-handed like that, that's the only excuse you have left. That's what you got. So now they're going to have to claim stupidity. They're going to have to claim that they were a bunch of Keystone cops. Don't believe it for a minute. These are some pretty smart people. They knew exactly what they were doing. I promise you, Durham is not going to buy it. And I assure you, no jury will ever buy it. These people are in deep, deep shit. And a lot of these cases, in fact, probably most all of them, will never even go to trial. Because these people will be so guilty, so caught red-handed, Durham will have so much evidence on them that they will have to cut deals. They will have to cut deals. Most of these people will never see the inside of a courtroom because they will have to plead guilty in a plea deal in order to just cut some jail time off their what could be very long sentences. Yes, mistakes were made. Human errors. No, these were not human errors. If they were errors, they would have been some in favor of Trump, some against Trump. All the errors went against Trump. Clearly, no one's going to buy this bullshit that these were errors. And even Chris Wallace, I mean, how he could let Comey slide on this stuff. Well, I know how. He's a part of the deep state. He was there to help Comey construct the new defensive narrative. That's what is going to happen now that they know they're caught. They're going to start constructing their defensive narrative. None of that's going to matter to A.G. Barr or Mr. Durham. But I guess they figure they'll cross that bridge when they get to it. Comey also says, when he says, well, I thought that the policies that we had in place for getting a FISA were plenty robust. Well, they were. They were plenty robust. We got the Woods file that you have to do. We have all these various layers of people who have to go through it and verify it. You have to actually say and sign off on the fact that it's verified. Oh, there's all kinds of measures that have to make sure that it cannot be abused. But you know what? And it wasn't errors. You just flat out lied and violated all of those procedures and all those rules. So to say that there weren't enough rules in place, what? There's no rule in place that you're not allowed to carry out a deep state coup, that you can spy on American citizens based on fraud? No, actually, Mr. Comey, there are plenty of rules and regulations in place right now that you violated, that your people violated, that say that you can't carry out a coup and that you can't get a FISA based on lies and fraud at the FISA court. Then he also went into the old, as the FBI director, I'm not always kept informed on the details of the investigation. Oh, he's playing dumb. Actually playing ignorant on this one. He's playing dumb before. Now he's playing ignorant. And he went so far as to say, yes, it was so bad for me, George, that even my mother-in-law thought that I was going to prison. Well, your mother-in-law's right, Jim. You are going to prison. Do you know how many years in prison the last corrupt FBI official got who tangled with John Durham? John Durham sent that last FBI official that in the Whitey Bulger case to 40 years in prison. 40 years in prison. So I really don't think that Durham is going to buy your bullshit, Mr. Comey. So there was Comey playing dumb, then playing ignorant, spinning and lying the whole time, and Chris Ratboy Wallace assisted him in the effort. There goes another assist for Chris the Ratboy Wallace. It was a complete shit show. I wouldn't even bother watching it if I were you, unless you just like watch being lied to. None of it's going to matter. It's all irrelevant. Comey is a big, fat, walking lie. That's all this guy does is lie. And his ass is in deep, deep trouble. And this pretending, I was, if he didn't know about all these things and he was kept out of the loop, then how was it that he was able to testify in front of Congress in May 2017 and say that the dossier was salacious and unverified? And over these past 2 years, or certainly in the past 6 or 7 months, since Durham and A.G. Barr have been looking into this, and Comey has been going out giving speeches, writing books, and talking on TV shows, he's been advocating as if everything was done correctly, that they didn't do anything, there was no spying and all this stuff, as if he's the authority on it because he was the director. Now all of a sudden, that's all been proven to be a lie, he didn't know anything. Now all of a sudden he's ignorant. Before, he knew everything. He was on top of it. Now, he don't know shit about shit. I don't think it's going to fly. No one's buying it. This guy's such a freaking liar. My God, I can't wait to see his ass locked up and put away. I'm tired of hearing from this guy. And believe me, Durham is definitely going to charge this guy in the worst way. Believe me. Because Durham's sitting back watching this crap. And he's got to be furious. I mean, he's got to have smoke rolling out of his ears. If there's anybody that he's going to get the goods on, it's going to be Comey. And what about... think about this. If Comey is sitting there on TV telling Chris Ratboy Wallace that, I was out of the loop. I mean, the FBI director, he's not brought into the details of all this stuff that's going on. He's running the larger mosaic of the FBI. And all these other people are all doing all the dirty work. Well, that means that Andy McCabe must be the guy. So, what, you think Andy McCabe is going to sit there in a courtroom or when he gets questioned by Durham, say, yeah, you know, Comey's right, he didn't know anything. We kept him totally out of the loop. He wasn't informed about anything. He didn't know anything. What bullshit. McCabe will be the first to tell you that Comey was running the damn show. Comey was in those two crucial meetings with Obama and Brennan and Clapper and Yates talking about all the stuff that they were doing. Man, this is a lying son of a bitch, and I'll be so happy when Durham slaps the cuff on his ass. We have Trump tweeting out that Obama knew everything. Yes, he did. He also tweeted out regarding the Comey interview, could it be you're going to jail? Yes, he is going to jail, Mr. President. Again, the last corrupt FBI official who crossed John Durham got 40 years. We now have another representative on the Democrat side, Minnesota Rep. Colin Peterson, saying he will vote no on impeachment. So we got Van Drew, who's literally going to switch parties. We have this one from Minnesota, Colin Peterson. He's going to vote no. We have two other confirmed no's. So that's 3 confirmed no's, and Van Drew is 4, and he's leaving the party. It's suspected that there's as many as 6 or 7. And by Wednesday, God knows how many defectors there's going to be. I want to see the vote. I want to see. Now, Pelosi will probably get the votes, but, you know, I hope she does, because every one of those Democrats in those 31 districts that are going to vote for this impeachment are going to lose their seat. Take it to the bank. Yes, and Lindsey Graham was on Deface the Nation, and on Deface the Nation, he said that he is going to allow Rudy to testify to the Senate and show what he has found in his investigation on Ukraine. And he said that he'll take that up after the impeachment hearings. Very well done. Like I said, get it in writing when it's Lindsey Graham. We had Nunes, of course, on Maria Bartiromo, and he said something very important that I think a lot of people have missed. He said FBI officials and FISA judges are working together with intent to conspire against the American people. So the first time that we've heard this said, many of us have talked about this. I've read the comments in the comment section for years now. I've talked about it. There's definitely something going on with these FISA court judges. By now, I mean, you go to a judge and you lie on a sworn affidavit to a judge, they recall that case, they bring those people back in, they hold them in contempt, they sometimes throw them in jail. Yet all the lies and all the fraud perpetrated on the FISA court, you don't hear anything from these FISA court judges who should be outraged, but you don't hear a peep. So I concluded a long time ago, and Nunes probably did too, it's just that now maybe he feels he's at liberty to say so, that the FBI officials and FISA judges are working together with intent to conspire against the American people. Absolutely 100% correct. Judge Collier should have come out by now and held all these people that were involved in some sort of contempt, brought them back in, referred them for criminal charges. Of course, the Supreme head, the Justice Roberts, head of the Supreme Court, is over the FISA judges. He should have by now acted. He has not. These people are worthless sons of bitches, and I'm done. I was never a fan of the FISA court. I've never been a supporter of it. I've never thought it should have ever existed. I know you can't trust these corrupt judges and bureaucrats with that kind of power, and I said so from day one. This is not just that this abuse just now happened. This has been going on for decades and decades. They just got caught this time. Been going on for a long time. They just got caught. In the FISA court. It's unconstitutional. If you think you've got a real terrorist situation, you can go get a judge out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to get a warrant signed. If they find out from an informant that you've got drugs in your house, they will get a damn judge out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to kick your door in. So, this whole idea that we have to have this secret court, total bullshit, total unconstitutional. And Nunes and some of the other ones who've been talking about this, unless the FISA court comes clean and does what they should do, end it. I'll be so happy when they get rid of the FISA court. It should never have been created in the first place. And it was created based on hoaxes and frame-ups and God knows what else. False flag operations. My God. This is the shape we're in. It's the shape we're in. Thank God we got President Trump. Give this man 8 years, things are going to be a lot different. Now, let's get to the dumbass of the week, and it's a little smaller than normally this week because I forgot to tell people to, get their votes in. So normally I tell people that on the Saturday video so that the comments appear, for me it's Saturday, it's actually the Sunday video. When you guys are watching it, it's the Sunday video. In the Sunday video, typically is where, where I tally up the votes, and then on Monday I'd announce them. But see, there's been times when I've done it a day earlier where I've actually, on Saturday, I've tried to do the dumbass of the week because Monday is normally a busier news day, and I didn't want to have to take up that 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the video on a Monday. I'd rather do it on a Sunday when it's a slower news day. But Sundays have been such busy news days that somehow it got pushed back. So I'll do my best to try to nail it down one day or the other, either Saturday or Sunday. And so I'm going to try to nail that down and be consistent. But I'm thinking about doing something different at the first of the year anyway. So anyway, let's keep going. So the dumbass of the week. Well, we had Lori Holt. She went with Horowitz, the sleepy penguin Nadler, and of course Marblemouth Pelosi. Yeah, Marblemouth Pelosi. Yeah, and Trump did make out a tweet, sent out a tweet about her teeth moving around in her mouth. She got the same problem Biden's got. I guess her teeth don't fit correctly. Both of them, when they try to talk, their teeth move around in their mouth or something. So there you go. Lori Holt, Horowitz, Nadler, and Pelosi. Mike G, who's a big winner. He's all smiles over there in the UK. Cheers, my friend. He went with Horowitz, Nadler, and Comey. Whimsical Fancy went with Nadler, Pelosi, and Biden, Hunter Biden. AJ went with the Bug-Eyed Fool, the Penguin, and Comey. Gitmo went with Bernie. It's been a while since Bernie got a vote. There you go. He deserves it for going with Jink. Gordon's going to go with the Nadler, Pelosi, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Gene, our good friend in Virginia, who's probably going to have to fight for his right to keep and bear arms here in the near future. Maybe some of us from Ohio will form a militia and come over and help you. Gene is going to go with Virginia for what they're trying to do, violate the Second Amendment rights. Joe Biden and the Right Reverend Clinton. Coyote is going to go with Comey. Well, Comey. J.C. Hasty, he's going to go with Horowitz, Nadler, and Pelosi. Internet Privacy Advocate is going to go with Bloomberg. Yeah, Bloomberg. Man, you talk about crash and burn. My goodness, man, that dude is clueless. Douglas, let's see. Douglas is going to go with McConnell, Bloomberg, and Time Magazine. Yep, I know what he's talking about there. We have W. Yerkes is going to go with Chris Ratboy Wallace. Freddie Schaffer is going to go with the Rotten Reverend Clinton, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and the Penguin. Peter James is going to go with the Penguin, Madam Botox, Pelosi, and the Bug-Eyed Fool, Schiff. Well done, Peter. Mark Tezak is going to go with Huckleberry Horowitz. Sue Sung is going to go with Madam Botox, Pelosi, Nadler, no Nads, Nadler the Penguin, along with Chris Ratboy Wallace. Kimmy is going to go with Hank Johnson. We hardly ever get Hank Johnson's name for Dumbass of the Week, but literally, if you want to talk about probably the actual most dumb, and I mean like ignorant, I mean like this guy is like stupid, like rock blockhead stupid. Hank Johnson is probably the stupidest member of Congress in terms of just, he's the guy that's worried about islands flipping over. I mean, this guy is full-blown crazy. and he's suggesting that the other day that Trump had the Ukrainian president's daughter, bound and gagged in the basement or something. I mean, this guy's way off the rails, man. I think he used to be playing the NBA, if I remember correctly. So anyway, Hank Johnson for Comey, along with the socialist demo commies, and of course Comey. Yes, Comey. Jamie Anzavino. He's going to go with Madam Botox Pelosi, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and Nadler. Jeanette is going to go with the Penguin, Nadler, along with Huckleberry Horowitz and Biden. Ricky Ricardo is going to go with Pelosi, the Penguin, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Stage Door Johnny, he's going to go with Huckleberry Horowitz. Diane, turning your guns, Mr. and Mrs. America Feinstein, for saying that there's no deep state. Could you believe there is no deep state? Really? There's no deep state. I don't know what she was reading. And Comey. So there you go. Stage Door Johnny, Horowitz, Feinstein, and Comey. And finally we have Susan with Madam Botox Pelosi and Blackface Nordum. And now I think maybe Susan may also live in Virginia. I'm not sure. Based on her comment, I got the impression maybe she does, or she's familiar with Virginia anyway, that area. I know Gene lives in Virginia. So anyway, so what we have here, it looks like pretty close competition here. But it looks like the Penguin, Nadler, is going to edge out the second and third place finishers in a close finish. The Penguin is going to be the dumbass of the week, winning the first position. Madam Botox Pelosi coming in a close second, and then coming in again very close to her is Adam the Bug-Eyed Fool Schiff, third. So we have the Penguin, Madam Botox, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Those are our dumbass of the week and our two runner-ups. Thank you so much for participating in that. So yes, got a couple minutes here. So I think the big takeaway from the Horowitz report, of course, we know he was limited to what he could look at. And, again, the biggest, probably most damaging thing that came out of the Horowitz report, and there's a lot there that's damaging, but probably the most damaging thing, the thing that simply makes all this so criminal and is the thing that they literally cannot defend themselves against. They can claim errors, they can claim stupidity, ignorance, whatever. They can claim all these things, but one thing that they're simply not going to be able to explain or get around that's of a criminal nature, that's going to take a lot of these people to jail, is the fact that they continued the investigation into Trump and his campaign long after they knew all the evidence that they had used up to that point was total bullshit, was fabricated, and wasn't true at all, and they knew it. They continued it on for months and months and months, used it to get a special counsel to essentially do a coup, and all that is going to be uncovered. Durham knows it. Barr knows it, okay? They both know this. They just have to go out there and get all the evidence because they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that these things are true. And a criminal conspiracy like this is pretty complex. It's not an easy thing to do. But I know we got the right guys on the job. Barr and Durham are going to get it done. But that one thing in the Horowitz report, they continued on the investigation long after they knew the entire thing was, the premise of it all was based on fraud. That's why, of all the other things in the report, that's why a lot of these people are going to jail. And then the other part of it is that Horowitz was only able to look at things from the date of the beginning of the Operation Crossfire Hurricane forward. But everything that happened before that was also totally criminal. And that's what Durham is looking at. And that's why Durham said he can't agree with Horowitz that the Operation Crossfire was properly predicated. Both Barr and Durham is saying, no, we found evidence that suggests otherwise. We know this for a fact, that they were running spies in the campaign. They were doing all sorts of things months before, 6 months, 5 months before they ever launched Crossfire Hurricane. They were already spying on the Trump campaign, using informants, agents, provocateurs, and things and such. These people are so freaking busted. It's unbelievable, and they know it. Just be patient, because it's all going to happen. See you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.